Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So it is October, and of course because it's October, Halloween is coming up. And I really wanted to do something Halloween related, so I decided to do a doll customization tutorial for you guys. So in this video, I'm going to be doing my first ever head-to-toe doll transformation, and it's my first character doll that I'm going to be doing. So since I wanted to do something Halloween related, I'm going to be doing Sally the Ragdoll, and I'm going to be making her out of a Frankie Stein Monster High doll. Now Sally is a ragdoll that was created by Dr. Frankenstein in Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I figured that Frankie would be the perfect doll to start off with because she already has the green hue to her skin tone and has all of the stitches painted all over her body. In this video, I'm going to show you how I gave the doll new hair, repainted the face, and created the costume for the doll. So let's go ahead and get started with the tutorial. Now to start off, we have to cut off the original hair from the doll. This is always the worst part. I can't stand cutting the doll hair off, but it's all for the sake of art and crafting, so it's gonna be okay. To get the doll head off of the body, I took a glass of water and put it in the microwave for about 1.5 minutes. Then I submerged the head of the doll in the warm water for about 30 seconds, or until the head was kind of squishy. Then I gently pull the head off. Inside of the head, you still have all of the roots of the original hair and the glue that was holding it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pair of needle nose pliers and use it to kind of scrape the glue out of the head and pull out all of the little hair plugs. Since Sally is a ragdoll, instead of giving her traditional doll hair, I'm going to be using this thin yarn to make her hair. To get the length that I wanted, I measured out the yarn next to another Monster High doll and then doubled it, so that way when I'm rerooting, it'll be the length that I want the hair to be. Now since I have to cut this yarn from a big spool, what I need to do is lay down the original length of yarn that I cut and then pull out another length of yarn to measure it and cut it. And I have to keep doing this over and over and over until I have enough hair to cover the entire doll head. To reroot Sally's head, I'm using a rerooting tool that I made using the handle of an X-Acto knife and a needle that I cut the end off to create this little prong. What I do is I take one strand of this yarn and then hook it in the prong of the rerooting tool. I hold the end of the string with my finger, and then I figure out which hole that I want to put the strand of hair in. Then I simply push the end of the rerooting tool in through the existing hole. I pull the rerooting tool out and the string will actually stay in the existing hole. Now all I have to do is do the same thing about 100 more times. As you can see here, the front hairline is just a little bit more full, but when you get to the back, I only rooted every other hole. That way, when I'm finished rooting the hair, it won't be too thick in the back, and the hair will lay down a little bit better. So Sally has a center part in her hair, and this Frankie doll had a side part. So to create the center part, I had to part the hair where I wanted it, and then I took a pen and drew kind of a guideline where I wanted the part to be. Since the hair is parted in the middle at the top, you don't want there to be any little bald spots poking through. So what I did is I took my rerooting tool and every other strand of hair I did from the opposite side from each other and laid the hair in the direction I wanted it to go. This way, when it's all finished, which you'll see here in just a second, it kind of creates this kind of like intertwined look, and it completely covers the top of the head so there's no bald spots showing. I'm not putting a piece of yarn in every single hole that's already there, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of trying to space it out so that way they're evenly spread apart. So when I'm putting the hair in, it doesn't end up getting like super thick because the yarn is a lot thicker than the doll hair that I normally use. So see how there's all these holes right here? Well, I'm not going to be doing all those holes. In fact, you've got these here, and I'm going to be poking this here. As you can see, so what I do is I kind of space them apart, and what I'll do is I'll make a row, and then you'll see that like this row up here, I have a hair plug every so often, and then the next row I kind of go in between the two. So I put it here and then here, so they kind of cover the gaps without it being too much yarn or too much hair. Now to secure the yarn in the doll's head, I'm using Fabric Fusion Permanent Fabric Glue, so that way the hair doesn't come out while you're styling it or playing with it. I'm just going to put a couple of drops in the head, and I'm going to use a Q-tip to spread it around, and then I like to squish the head just a little bit to make sure that the glue is evenly distributed. Alright, it's time to work on the costume. So for Sally's dress, I'm going to use this dress that I got from a Monster High outfit for about $6 from Toys R Us. And for the shoes, I'm going to use the shoes that came with my Iris Clops fashion pack. And to customize the dress and the shoes, I'm just using acrylic paint. So this is the base coat, just to get the main colors down for each of the patches. I'm going to set her in a stand and let the paint dry, and then I'll go back in with some of the darker colors and redo or go over with some of the designs to finish the patchwork once it's dry. Alright, and here is the finished dress. All I have to do is let the last little bits of details that I painted on dry, and it should be good to go. The dress is all dry. Now I'm going to try and peel it off this body, because one problem with using acrylic paint is that it dries really stiff, and any of the paint that has seeped through the fabric, as you can see, is on the doll's body. But that's also why I used this body to paint the dress. Okay, so the glue is dry inside of the head, and here is the I put her head back on the body. So I'm gonna cut her hair. Now I'm gonna cut her hair to be like just past her knees. So it's gonna be like this long. Now what I do is I take the backside of a comb. It's not exactly a rat tail comb, but the thin end of the comb here, and I just kind of like pick through the hair to make sure that it's all straightened out, it's not tangled, just so that way when I cut it, it all gets cut evenly the way that I want it to. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to separate some of the hair. Now the beauty of this is the fact that she's a ragdoll. It does not have to be completely perfect, but at the same time you don't want to cut off too much because you just went through all that process of rooting the hair, so you don't want to have to redo it. You can always cut off more if you need to. I want to do it about here, like level with her calf. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is bring the hair back around, and then I'm going to re-comb the hair. And then I'm going to use that little spot right there that I just cut. I'm going to use that as a guide to cut around. And as you can see, it's not an exact science. I'm just kind of cutting. Oh, I need you to stand up straight, please, girl. And these are just paper scissors or crafting scissors. Since it's string, it's fine. Usually you get a better result for cutting string or cutting hair with actual hair cutting scissors because the paper scissors can kind of like fray the edges. But once again, Sally is a ragdoll, so it's okay. All right, and then you just follow the same guide around the other side. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want to look at it and make sure that it's even. So right now it's gonna be kind of hard to tell, but her left side is just a little bit longer than her right side there. So now is when I go back in and just kind of make a little bit of those final touches to just kind of clean up the haircut. All right, so there we go. Here's all the excess yarn. All right, so I'm going to be removing her face paint, or at least her eyes, so that way I can repaint them back on. So for that, I'm going to be using pure acetone. You can also use nail polish remover, but I think that the pure acetone gets rid of the paint much easier. So that's what I'm going to be using. And I like to do this over the sink so that way I can easily like rinse off her face because I don't like the acetone to sit on the plastic for that long. There we go, and voila. I'm gonna leave the paint for her lips there because they're already the color that I want them to be, so I'm not gonna bother with that. But now that her eyes and eyebrows are removed, I'll go back and repaint everything back on. I mixed this paint with just a little bit of blue glitter, and then mixed a little bit of water and some clear, what is this? The clear gloss stuff, just to thin out the paint so that way it's kind of translucent. And I'm gonna use this for the shading around her eyes, kind of like an eyeshadow, basically. And I like to do the eyeshadow first because then I can always go over it and fix. See how I accidentally covered up part of the part that's going to be the white of the eye. I can fix that with the white paint after. And then she has just a little bit going under her under eyes. That's all she needs for her eyeshadow. So next I'm going to take this really thin brush and just with a little bit of black, I'm going to recreate her stitches. So I'm gonna start off. And once again, because she's a ragdoll, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just kind of want to get them in the places that she has them in the movie. So she has stitches that go on either side of her mouth, and very carefully try and make the thinnest possible line. There we go. And then do the same thing on the other side. There we go. And actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to dip the paintbrush in the blue because her stitches on her face seem to be like more of a blue color than the stitches on her body. So I'm gonna see if I can make this line look a little less harsh. Okay. So that didn't really change much, but probably because I already had put down some black. All right, so she's got these stitches across her mouth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of replicate the stitch marks that are on her face. There we go, there's that. And then she has one stitch mark that goes across her right eye. So I'm just gonna bring that up here. There we go. Okay, and I'm gonna let her dry for a minute before I start working on the other colors with the white. Alright, so the last step to finishing up the eyes is to take some clear gloss, and I just like to go over just the white of the eye and just putting like a dollop of clear paint just to seal it. Some people like to use glue, like they'll use Elmer's glue or Mod Podge, but I don't like that because I find that the glue is still sticky even after it's dry. And this is the one that I use. It's Duraclear Gloss Varnish. And here is the finished doll. Okay, I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. I love how this turned out. I'm super happy with it. This is the first time that I've done a complete head-to-toe transformation, and the first character that I've created by making a custom doll. I have done reroots in the past as well as repaints, but nothing this detailed. I decided to use Frankie, mainly because of the green skin tone, but also since Sally is a ragdoll, Frankie has the stitches already painted on her body, so that kind of cut out some of the work. I just love how the face turned out with the face paint. I was able to take a Monster High face and make it look like Sally from the movie. I would say that the thing that took the longest, other than stretching out all the hair and cutting each individual strand, was painting the dress. I love how it turned out, but painting the whole thing with acrylic paint, the dress ended up feeling a little bit stiff. But since it's a costume for this specific character, I figured that's okay. All in all, I'm super happy with how this turned out. Now, I want to hear from you guys. If you like this video, please let me know and hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you have any other suggestions for any customizations or character transformations, please leave them in a comment below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!